What ho! Today I'm going to have a go at an Airfix kit. It's the Haynes sponsored TR4A car. Now I haven't done an Airfix kit in probably about 30 years, so we'll see how this one goes. So I start off by doing the front suspension arms ready for fitting to the chassis. I also decided that the paint would probably need mixing prior to me actually using it later on down the line. Now I do remember from when I last did an Airfix kit, I tended to get glue everywhere, so I'm trying this way to see if it makes a difference. These are the brake discs and the tyres, which I'm cutting out now, but they will actually be going on a lot later. I don't know why my camera keeps moving side to side. It must be something to do with the automatic zoom. These kits are meant to have freewheeling wheels. Now, I do remember that previously I've never managed to do that, probably because of my overuse of the glue, but I'm going to have a go at it this time. So the little arms on the end of the suspension unit are meant to poke through the holes in the discs to allow them to freewheel, and then there's a part that goes on the outside of the wheel that holds them in place. Again, we'll see how that goes. So I decided to start painting the main part of the chassis. This is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing in that the main chassis is painted, but it's a bad thing because I'll need to glue parts to it later. Already I have noticed that the paint sometimes needs multiple coats just to cover properly. Now, I'm putting this down at the point because I haven't actually washed all the grease from my fingers or whatever off of the chassis or any parts I'm doing. You can see here it's a bit patchy in places. A couple of coats will get rid of this. I'm also starting on the silver parts. Unfortunately, I didn't get all of it on camera. The actual assembly manual instructs you to do some of the parts on the sprues before you take them off, because they're so small and fiddly. So now I'm actually trying to fit the wheels to the chassis. And this is the small little locking nut, if you like. It was at this point that I started getting frustrated because I couldn't get the locking nuts to lock and allow the wheel to turn. So at this point I thought, bugger it, it's just going to be a shelf queen, I'm not going to move it anywhere, they don't have to turn. I've assembled part of the engine now, so I'm actually assembling that. This is making sure I've got somewhere to glue to for the transmission tunnel and the seats. This is where I start painting the body. Now originally this was because the clear parts of the glass was going over a couple of bits, so I wanted them painted before I glued them in place. Now this white paint was really bad. It took several coats before I even started to notice the actual colour going on. There was also parts of the bonnet that I wouldn't be able to get to once it was glued in place, so I was painting those as well. I was starting to get really frustrated with this because some bits just weren't sticking properly. Now, trying to fit the actual body to the chassis was a real pain in the arse because some bits were sitting too low, some were too high, and it was just a faff just to get into place. So I decided to glue one side, let that semi-set, and then try and get the other side. It was at this point he realised he'd had a fucking enough.
So why exactly did I rage quit? Several reasons. One, the paint was just crap. It would not go on properly. Now I understand that I'd have my greasy fingers all over it, not a problem. However, after 3 coats and it's still not sticking, that isn't right. Another thing, they're so-called assembly manuals. They're not so much an assembly manual, they're more an exploded diagram of the parts. They say, oh look, this part all goes onto here. They don't show you exactly where. So therefore when you guess, then when you have to assemble parts together, things don't fit. That is why I rage quit.